My condolences to the honourable member on that tragic loss. Statements by members. Déclaration de député. The honourable member for Winnipeg Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I honour the late Elder Stan Lapierre, whose radiant smile and gentle wise spirit were gifts to all that knew him. His compassion knew no bounds. His love poured freely into the lives of others, especially through his tireless care and love for families of murdered and disappeared women, girls, gender-diverse people, and survivors of violence. I will always remember the light of his smile. It could brighten even the darkest of rooms. Though I knew Stan only briefly, I am profoundly grateful for his kindness, teachings, and love. His absence leaves a great void in our community, yet his legacy of humanity will continue to guide us. To his beloved partner, Elder Thelma Morisseau, your love reflected deep respect, joy, and devotion. My heart is with you and your family during your time of grief. Rest in power, dear Stan. Your light shines on. Thank you.
The honourable member for Toronto St. Paul's.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Visiting Ottawa today are two incredible athletes, Ava Walsh and Gracie Rickman, as well as coaches, staff, and volunteers from Special Olympics Canada. For more than 50 years, the Special Olympics have shown us the power of inclusion, creating opportunities for Canadians with disabilities to build on their strengths, foster lifelong friendships, and shine on and off the field. Across the country, and in my riding of Toronto St. Paul's, where the beating heart of the organization has a home, I've seen how these programs bring communities together. They remind us that sport is not only about competition, but about belonging, confidence, and joy. Gracie and Ava, your determination and teamwork inspire us all. You embody what it means to lead with heart. On behalf of this House, thank you for your dedication, and thank you to everyone who makes the Special Olympics possible.
Bring back Don Stewart, man.
The honourable member for Edmonton South East.
Mr. Speaker, under this Liberal government, crime and chaos is out of control. Extortion has exploded into one of the fastest growing crimes in Canada, with threats against small business owners and innocent citizens. Just this weekend, in my riding of Edmonton South East, an innocent family had shot up their house as they were misidentified by gangsters. This is unacceptable and a direct result of Liberals' soft on crime agenda. Canadians deserve to feel safe in their homes. That's why Conservatives want to restore mandatory jail time, repeal dangerous Liberal catch and release laws C5 and C75. To the innocent families home that got shot, this should not have happened to you. I and my fellow Conservatives will fight hard to stop crime, so that the criminals, those tagged to you, will face real consequences, not just a slap on the wrist. Thank you.
The honourable member for Sault Ste. Marie Algoma.
Speaker, today I rise to pay tribute to my friend Steve Butlin, who served as a member of Parliament in this House from 1988 to 1993. Steve and I also served on City Council from 2003 to 2015. He was a one-term mayor and did a fantastic job serving with great passion. He was a mentor to me and a partner in many initiatives. Together, we co-sponsored a motion declaring Sault Ste. Marie as the alternative energy capital of North America. I remember dearly a little story about Steve when he and I, as city councillors, visited the House of Commons at an AMO conference, and we walked in the door, and it was a guard that remembered him a decade later fondly and remembered his name, what party he belonged to, and everything. It was quite amazing the impact this guy had on every kind of people from all walks of life. My condolences to Sharon, his daughters, Stephanie, Susan, Stacy, their husbands, their grandchildren. Rest in peace, Steve. Rest in peace.
Honorable député de Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint.
The honourable member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, on October 19, 2015, the citizens of Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles did me the immense honour of electing me to the House of Commons. Today, 10 years later, I speak with gratitude and pride to mark this important milestone. 10 years of defending the interests of our families, seniors, youth, and all those who contribute to the vitality of our riding every day. I've had the privilege of working with organizations that embody our values of solidarity and commitment, the Knights of Columbus, the Patrouille de Charlebourg, our Golden Age clubs, our sports associations, and organizations that support people with different needs. These dedicated men and women, often volunteers, remind us that the strength of a community lies in mutual assistance, family, and shared responsibility. These values, deeply rooted in our riding, have guided me for a decade. I sincerely thank my constituents in Charlebourg-Haut-Saint-Charles for their renewed confidence in me, and I will continue to serve them with the same passion.
L'honorable député de...
The Honourable Member for La Salle-et-Mar-Verdun. Mr. Speaker, in this month when we celebrate women, I'd like to take a moment to recognize an exceptional woman in my life, my wife, Carol Ann, who's celebrating her birthday this week. For more than 35 years of marriage, Carol Ann has been my rock, my inspiration, and the one who kindly accompanies me on each of my adventures, including this new political life.
Her strength, kindness, and compassion make her truly extraordinary. Everyone who meets her can feel her genuine, warm, and uplifting energy. Carol Ann, thank you for your unwavering support, your patience, and your love. You remind me every day what truly matters: family, respect, and kindness. Joyeux anniversaire.
Happy birthday, Bibi.
And I'm so grateful to share this journey with you. And as we celebrate Women's Month, let's take the time to recognize all the women who inspire us, who lift us, and make our community stronger every single day. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Perth-Wellington.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to Martin Broadhagen, who died as a result of a tragic farm accident on the same land he tended to for his entire life. He was a man of tremendous work ethic, immense resiliency, and a good heart. Martin was devoted to his faith, his farm, and his family. He contributed to the community through junior farmers and 4-H, and he was the kind of person who would go out of his way to help his neighbors when they were in their time of need. He enjoyed a good auction sale and a good joke. He was a loving husband to Brenda and a caring father to his children, Amanda and Brian, who were truly his pride and joy. Though he is gone, his legacy lives on through them as they farm the land that meant so much to him. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de...
The Honourable Member for Thérèse de Blainville. We know that sport can transform lives, building confidence, creating bonds, and bringing joy. Everyone deserves to experience that. Across Canada, thousands of athletes benefit from programs supported by passionate volunteers and coaches through Special Olympics Canada, which embodies strength, pride, honor, courage, and friendship. Values that inspire us all. So today, let's come together to celebrate the inspiring spirit of all Special Olympians from coast to coast to coast, from the north to the east to the west. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Leduc-Wetaskiwin.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor one of the most incredible organizations in the history of sport. While others will no doubt pay tribute to our beloved Blue Jays here this afternoon, I'm here to celebrate the many Special Olympics athletes joining us in Ottawa today. For 6 decades, Special Olympics has changed the lives of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities worldwide, including over 40,000 Canadian athletes who participate today. One of those athletes is my own son, Jaden, who radiates pure joy whenever he has a bowling ball in his hands. Another is Damien, a multi-sport Special Olympian and athlete ambassador I met this morning. Damien is carrying the torch in a way that would make the legendary Joey Moss proud. I also want to salute the incomparable Mary Davis, CEO of Special Olympics International, soon retiring after 47 years of tireless leadership in the organization. As Special Olympics Canada prepares for the 2026 Canada Summer Games in Medicine Hat, I know colleagues from all sides of this House will join me in recognizing their invaluable contribution to our country.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Member for Mirabel. Mr. Speaker, as you'll see, community spirit runs deep in my riding. This year we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of La Petite Maison de Pointe-Calumet. Founded in 1995 by Diane Grenier, La Petite Maison has grown thanks to the commitment of passionate individuals such as Melissa Corbeil, the current director, and her dedicated team. With more than 550 people assisted and dozens of volunteers, the organization supports families, children, and seniors on a daily basis through projects such as the Community Garden, Collective Kitchens, Food Aid, and the Petite Boîte PREF. Mr. Speaker, at La Petite Maison, the expression, "it takes a village to raise a child," takes on its full meaning. On behalf of the Bloc Québécois and my constituents, I invite this House to join me in wishing La Petite Maison de Pointe-Calumet a wonderful anniversary. To all those who, for 30 years now, have been cultivating hope and solidarity there, thank you. You make all the difference.
The Honourable Member for Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, small businesses are the backbone of our communities. They create jobs, spark innovation, and build local pride. With October 19th to the 24th being Small Business Week here in Canada, I'm reminded this week and every day just how much small businesses in my riding of Bay of Quinte provide to our local communities. This week is about recognizing the hard work, creativity, and resilience of small businesses, especially through these challenging times. Small Business Week is also a moment to reflect on the challenges ahead and recommit to supporting every entrepreneur with the tools they need to thrive. Our government stands with you, ensuring you have the opportunities and tools to shape Canada's future. I look forward to honouring some of these businesses at the Quinte Business Achievement Awards this coming Friday, where many local small business champions will be recognized. Thank you to all the small businesses of Canada and to those of the Bay of Quinte.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Centre, Marpole.
Mr. Speaker, residents in Richmond are deeply concerned about the Covington land ruling. This decision raises serious questions about long-standing private property rights in British Columbia. People want to know if their land titles are secure and what this means for their homes and their future. Yet the Liberal government has remained silent. There has been no explanation, no reassurance, and no plan. As a result, Richmond is holding a public information session on October 28th so residents can get answers that the federal government has failed to provide. Property ownership is a foundational Canadian right.
Yes.
It's not optional. It's a responsibility of the federal government to protect it. Canadians are watching, and they expect this government to stand up for their rights, not stand by in silence.
The Honourable Member for Mount Royal.
Mr. Speaker, today I want to welcome Jewish community leaders from the Centre for Israel and Jewish Affairs and the Jewish Federations of Canada who are here on Parliament Hill for their annual Advocacy Day. They come at a time when Canada's Jewish community is facing an alarming rise in anti-Semitism. Though Jewish Canadians make up just 1.2% of the population, we make up 70% of all religious-based hate crimes in this country. In 2024 alone, police reported over 900 such incidents, the highest number on record. Across Canada, synagogues, schools, and community centres have had to assume extraordinary security responsibilities, spending more than $40 million each year to keep their members safe. These leaders are here to call on all of us, regardless of party, to confront anti-Semitism with the seriousness with which it deserves. There have been firebombs, people assaulted, Jewish students targeted on campus, and this must end now. Let us stand with Canada's Jewish community and affirm that hate has no place in this country.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton West.
Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General has dropped another bombshell, and it landed right on the steps of the Canada Revenue Agency. The AG reports that the CRA answered just 33% of the 32 million calls it got last year. 33% is not a service level, it's a batting average. Perhaps the Blue Jays should hire the CRA. And when a call was answered, 83% of the responses given by the CRA were incorrect. Less accuracy than a Liberal budget projection. And here's the ticker. Call center employees don't even have to worry about giving the wrong answers. In performance reviews, CRA rates showing up for work and going on coffee breaks is a higher importance than delivering proper responses to taxpayers. Now, the CRA can't answer phones, but they've increased the amount of audits they're doing on Canadians by 10%. This is not a public service. It's a disservice to Canadians. After 10 years of Liberal mismanagement, Canadians deserve better.
The honourable member
That was
for
a poll to hear that
Beauport-Limoilou.
about the CRA.
Mr. Speaker, today I'd like to highlight the presence in Ottawa of a delegation of entrepreneurs and economic leaders from the Greater Quebec City area, led by Quebec International and its president and CEO, Carl Veal. In these times of economic uncertainty, these women and men brilliantly embody the dynamism, creativity, and know-how that are the strength of our regional economy. Their presence here demonstrates a firm commitment to building bridges, sharing their expertise, and exploring new avenues of cooperation with the federal government for the benefit of Quebec as a whole and of Canada as a whole. I join my colleague, the Minister of Government Transformation and Member of Parliament for Quebec City Centre, in extending our warmest greetings to them and in recognizing their outstanding contribution to innovation, job creation, and the sustainable prosperity of our communities. The Quebec City region stands out as a gateway to America, an economic engine, a hub of innovation, and a true source of national pride. Welcome to Ottawa, and thank you for putting Quebec City on the Canadian and international map.
The honourable member for Huron-Bruce.
Mr. Speaker, last night for a few hours we were a nation united, gathered around our TVs watching the Toronto Blue Jays beat the Mariners in 7 games and reach the World Series for the first time in 32 years. The season started slow, but around the middle of May, something clicked. Playing with grit, hustle, good pitching, defense, and no easy outs in the lineups, the Blue Jays went 73-45 to finish first place, and we haven't looked back. We love Vladdy, and we've dreamt of what he could do since we signed him at 16 years of age. Gossman, Yasavage, Bieber, Scherzer, Hoffman, the list goes on and on of all the great pitching. And Kirky, how can you not admire him? A fan favorite and the everyman in the lineup. In George Springer, who found the fountain of youth and had a career year. We love these Blue Jays because 41 million Canadians can see themselves in them. An underdog, hard work, never give up, and belief in yourself. A little more, that's real.
The honourable member for Brampton Centre.
Mr. Speaker, October is Women's History Month, a time to honour the women who have shaped our country and to recommit ourselves to building a Canada where everyone can thrive. Today, women hold nearly 43% of leadership roles in Canada, a real improvement from just a few years ago, but representation is still uneven. Indigenous women, women with disabilities, and other marginalized women remain underrepresented, especially in senior and board positions. These numbers remind us that equality is not guaranteed, and it's something we must keep working towards. That's why I was proud to join the Reaching the Unreached event earlier this month in my riding of Brampton Centre, an organization dedicated to empowering and supporting women. I spoke with community leaders and discussed how we can continue to break down barriers for women in every sector. This month and every month, let's continue to advance gender equality and uplift women everywhere. To everyone watching, happy Women's History Month.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable leader of the opposition.
Each and every dollar that this Prime Minister spends costs us. Each dollar is expensive for Canadians. This government and the Justin Trudeau government doubled inflation. Today, Statistics Canada published new numbers according to which inflation is rising. 4 indicators are higher than projected, and grocery prices are going up twice as fast as the target. Will the Prime Minister, in the upcoming budget, decrease his taxes and inflationary spending so that Canadians can lead affordable lives? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see that the opposition leader is excited for November 4th. I'm excited too, as are Canadians. Why? Because we will have good news on November 4th, Mr. Speaker. We will present good news to Canadians. We will present an ambitious plan. Last week, I was in Washington, and the Director General of the International Monetary Fund gave Canada and Germany as excellent examples of countries with the ability to make generational investments. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build a strong, ambitious Canada in which Canadians are happy and proud.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, we don't work for bankers in Washington. We're here working for single mothers who can't pay their bills, who can't afford groceries. The inflation rate is exploding, and this means that Canadians have to spend 70% more for the Canada Revenue Agency. Today, the Auditor General revealed that 15% of calls to the CRA are answered at some point. But even if you can get someone on the phone, you get the wrong information 83% of the time. Why do Canadians have to pay so much for such poor service? The Honourable Finance Minister. Mr. Speaker, I have even more good news for the opposition leader. He'll be happy to know that on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we have already taken action. We presented a 100-day plan to fix the situation at the Canada Revenue Agency, because on the government side of the House, we know that we have to do better. We know that we have to give Canadians good information. We know we have to be helpful. And we do something else on this side of the House. Mr. Speaker, we respect people who work in public service. We respect public servants, and we will always do our best at all times to serve Canadians.
He admits they have to do better. It's not possible for them to do any worse, Mr. Speaker. The reality is today we learned that inflation is again on the march. All 4 measures of inflation are above Bank of Canada's targets. 2 are outside of and above the acceptable range. Food price inflation is rising 2 times the rate that Bank of Canada targets. No wonder we have 2 million people lined up at food banks every single day. This inflation has exploded since this Prime Minister doubled the deficit. Will he reverse his inflationary deficit and taxes in this coming budget?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I think we all know in this side of the House and Canadians, math might not be the cup of tea of the Leader of the Opposition. Neither may be economics, Mr. Speaker. But let me quote one of the authorities in the world, which is the Director General of the International Monetary Fund, Mr. Speaker. She said just last week, then we have countries in the G7 that are in a better position. Germany and Canada stand up in that regard, Mr. Speaker. Both Germany and Canada recognize that this is a very testing time and they need to use their fiscal space. In the case of Canada, the Canadian authorities have been very decisive in taking action. Mr. Speaker, we're doing it.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, his banker friends in Washington may think that they have fiscal space, but the single mothers who can't afford groceries have no space left at all to pay for liberal inflation. This government is forcing them to spend 70% more on the Canadian Revenue Agency. Today, the Auditor General revealed that only 15% of calls get responses on time. And even if someone does pick up the phone, there's an 83% chance they give you the wrong answer. Why does this government force Canadians to pay so much for such terrible service?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these conservatives. Trust me on that, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against dental care, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against the National School Food Program, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against farmer care, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against the programs that would support Canadians in time of need, Mr. Speaker. No one on this side of this House will tell us what to do. We're going to fight for Canadian. We're going to make Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
That's what you call dictatorship.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Another day, more costly slogans from that Member of Parliament.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition from the top.
Another day and more costly slogans. But now Canadians are learning it was a bait and switch. Today, another terrible tragedy. As they laugh, 1,200 workers at the Ingersoll Cami plant learned that they would lose their jobs after that Prime Minister promised he would negotiate a win and that he would keep their jobs here in Canada. They join with 2,000 workers in Brampton, many more in Oshawa. How does the Prime Minister look in the eyes the very workers that he sold out and betrayed?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
I'll tell you how the Prime Minister how he will deal with the auto sector. He will look at the auto workers in the eyes and he will say, "We will fight for your jobs." And that's exactly what we're doing. Every single day, we're negotiating back in Washington, but also, this is important to say that I met this morning with the Canadian CEO of GM. I was in conversation with the head of the labor union of Unifor, and I also talked to Doug Ford, and I talked to Vic Fideli. And you know what? We're putting in place a response group. We will make sure that we fight for these jobs. We need to make sure that...
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
She announced just now that she talked to this person, and she talked to that person, and she talked to this other person, and she talked, and she talked, and they talk, and they talk, and nothing gets done, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are tired of talk. They want their jobs. This government, for this Prime Minister, looked these workers in the eye and said he would negotiate a win, that he would protect auto jobs, that there would be an all-in-Canada supply chain that would keep them working. They even gave $250 million tax dollars to GM for this plant. And now those workers don't know how they're going to pay their bills. How does this government explain the broken promise and betrayal?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Fight for these jobs and we will hold the companies to account.
That's right.
That being said, let me talk to you about important jobs. 150 new jobs in St. Benoit, Alstom. 700 new jobs at AstraZeneca. 500 new jobs at Ferrero in Ontario. K&S Potash. 50 new jobs. Hitachi Energy. 500 new jobs. This government is building a strong Canadian economy.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the University of Quebec in Montreal was wise enough to forbid or block a conference of Imam Farouk, but he will still be in Brossard. That imam, that preacher, he will be able to spread hatred and he will foment hatred legally in Canada. And why will he be able to do that? Because he legally has the right to do so. Will the government eliminate the religious exemption from the criminal code? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we share the Leader of the Bloc Québécois' concerns. Hate speech does not belong in Canada. That's why the Minister of Justice is taking action through Bill C-5. We are especially targeting hatred. During the last legislature, we tabled legislation against hatred. We are going to do everything we can to ensure that hatred cannot exist in Canada. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. The Minister of Justice is not really getting at the core of the problem. The real problem is the religious exemption, which is still in effect. Spreading hatred is illegal in Canada unless it's for religious reasons. So, for instance, if a woman is assaulted in a war zone, for example, by Hamas in 2023 in September, that can be exempted as a religious exemption. Are those liberal values, truly? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I have already said, and I will repeat, that hate speech has no place in Canada. The Minister of Justice has offered to work with the Bloc Québécois on reforms which are before this House through Bill C-9, Mr. Speaker. We're ready to work with them to improve the situation and to ensure that there is no hate speech in Canada. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, there's an incredibly easy way to solve the problem. And the government would be able to be proud of what it's doing rather than doing something shameful. They can eliminate the religious exemption from their own bill. I encourage them to vote in favor of our amendment to eliminate the religious exemption and to forbid hatred and incitement to violence in our media and on our streets, even though that may be against multiculturalism. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, Bill C-9 is currently being studied at the Justice Committee. We welcome all committee members to suggest amendments to the bill. We will hear from experts, subject matter experts. We're ready and willing to work with the Bloc Québécois and with all parties in this House to ensure that hate speech is not in Canada.
We all know the Prime Minister doesn't shop for his own groceries, so maybe someone over there should tell him what's going on with food prices. Food inflation has now reached the highest level since 2023. Fruits, vegetables, meat, even Halloween candy. Everything's getting more expensive and rising faster, not slower. The cost of living is soaring because the cost of government is soaring. The Prime Minister is spending more than even Justin Trudeau did, which means higher taxes and higher inflation for everyone who lives in the real world. So does the Prime Minister realize that his out-of-control spending mean real costs for real Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Time and again, we see those Conservatives fight against policies that Canadians not only are benefiting from, but that Canadians are asking that we make permanent. Things like the school food program, Mr. Speaker, which many advocates and indeed families have praised. In fact, in my own riding, I heard just yesterday from a food partner that's working with high schools to make sure that kids get access, not just to fresh food, Mr. Speaker, but the ability to learn how to prepare it themselves. These are the kinds of things that are helping Canadian families, and every step of the way, those guys fight against it.
Exactly. The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Is that Liberal minister who sat here for 10 years while people lined up at food banks, and that's what she has to say. Runaway Liberal deficits, doubled grocery prices, and now the same people who caused the crisis think that the solution is just to spend more of other people's money. It's not just Liberal deficits driving up food costs. They voted against removing every hidden food tax that they themselves imposed. Packaging taxes, the industrial carbon tax, another 17 cents a litre because of the fuel standard. It's a religion to them. Food prices are soaring, fridges are empty. Why don't they scrap the hidden taxes?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families. Great job,
Mr. Speaker, again, we see that member and indeed the entire Conservative Party pretend that there was a tax on food. Canadians are smarter than that. They know when they go to the grocery store that food is not taxed. And so instead of imaginary problems, we're coming up with real solutions on this side, Mr. Speaker, whether it's for families, whether it's for seniors, whether it's for workers. We're here for Canadians, both in the good times and the bad. And Mr. Speaker, I just add that I hope that this concern is going to translate into support for our budget that will be tabled later on.
The Honourable Member for Newt-Tecumseh-Gwillimbury.
Greeters at Walmart grocery stores are no longer saying hello, they're apologizing. But it's these Liberals who should be apologizing for their inflationary deficits that have driven up food prices. Inflation data out today confirms food prices have once again skyrocketed, up 4% as everyday groceries become even more unaffordable for families. So we just need the number, Mr. Speaker. How much higher do food prices need to go before the Liberals admit their policies are starving Canadians?
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague referred to apologies. Perhaps he'd like to lean forward a couple of rows and suggest to his boss, the Leader of the Opposition, that he should apologize to the men and women who serve in Canada's RCMP for attacking their integrity and attacking the work that they do to protect all Canadians.
The honourable member for Newtecumseg-Gwillimbury.
They're so focused on listening to their own spin, they've tuned out the grumbling sounds of millions of hungry Canadian stomachs. The Prime Minister said he would be judged by the prices people pay at the grocery store. Well, with food prices up another 4%, thanks to his Liberal government's inflationary deficits, Canadians have made up their minds. He's an empty suit making empty promises that have led to too many empty stomachs. How is this acceptable?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We recognize on this side of the House that families need supports in meeting affordability questions. This is why we have supports in place and why time and time again we have stood for the National School Food Program, for early learning and childcare, making it affordable and accessible across the country, dental care, the Canada Child Benefit, and at each and every opportunity the members opposite voted against these supports for families, for children, for Canadians from coast to coast. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, under this Liberal government, everything is costing more, especially food. New food inflation data shows prices in Atlantic Canada are climbing faster than the national average, and in Newfoundland and Labrador, they're under tremendous pressure. Our province already has the highest unemployment rate in the country, yet families are being hit again at the grocery store. Beef up 14%, sugar up 9%, and meat up 6%. Runaway Liberal spending is fueling inflation, and every dollar they waste makes life harder. When will the government stop the reckless spending and start making life affordable for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I welcome this opportunity to share with the member across the way from Newfoundland and Labrador that a single mom in her riding who earns $15,000 a year can now access up to $25,000 because she will automatically get the benefits for her and her children. This is good news, this is affordability, and this is not a slogan.
Bravo! The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, while they brag, more and more people line up at the food banks in Newfoundland and Labrador.
That's right.
They voted against our motion to reduce food costs. It's not good enough. Sneaky, hidden Liberal food taxes, like the clean food regulations, are driving up food costs. And since March, food prices have risen 48% faster in Canada than in the U.S. This year alone, food banks are expecting 4 million visits. When will the Prime Minister end his inflationary spree and finally make life affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to again remind my colleague of the benefit of the school food program. I have spoken with moms who absolutely are grateful their children now have food in their bellies and are not separated from all the other children that can expect the basic right to have food in the mornings. I also want to remind my colleague of the importance of the dental program, the child benefit, and also $10 a day child care. This is affordability. It is not loose slogans.
L'honorable député de Richmond.
The honourable member for Richmond-Arthabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, inflation is still out of control under this Liberal government. The government is spending more, and Canadians are the ones paying the bill. Today, Stats Canada announced that consumer prices rose 2.4% year over year in September in Canada. What's worse, in Quebec, they rose 3.3%. Furthermore, Quebec was one of the provinces where gas prices increased, rising by 2.7%. Liberal deficits are very expensive for Canadians, but even more so for Quebecers. When will this Prime Minister finally get his deficits under control to ensure that Quebec is no longer the inflation champion of Canada? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, our friend across the way previously sat at Quebec's National Assembly, where decisions are made differently. We have chosen to support families, to support childcare and daycare services, to support pharmacare, to support seniors, to support young people. And I think he would have made the same choice at the National Assembly of Quebec, though. So why is he rising to criticize us? Is he going to vote against all of our supports? If so, he should admit it. The Honourable Member for La Pointe de l'Île. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine being that disconnected from Quebecers? On Thursday, the federal government announced that it will invest $52 million for Quebec's healthcare system, but not to treat people and patients. No, they're investing $52 million to anglicize our hospitals. Mr. Speaker, what our hospitals really need is money to treat people, not money to make Quebec more English-speaking. English is doing just fine in Quebec, including in hospitals. When will this government stop its crusade to make Quebec more English-speaking? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. With all due respect to my colleague across the way, Mr. Speaker, he knows full well that our government is the one which has done the most for official languages in Canada through the reform of the Official Languages Act. We have invested $2 billion in official languages, and for the first time, we are going to meet our Francophone immigration outside Quebec targets, and we're even going to triple those over the next 10 years. We're the first government to do so much to take this type of action. We are also helping Francophone communities outside Quebec. What the member claims is totally false. The Honourable Member for La Pointe de l'Île. English is far from being under threat in Quebec. It is unacceptable to waste $52 million of our money to make our hospitals more English-speaking, instead of spending that money on treating people. Naturally, the Quebec government has criticized the move. I quote the Quebec government, "Once again, the federal government is encroaching on Quebec's areas of jurisdiction. It should instead take the funds and give Quebec an unconditional transfer to let the government, which is responsible for healthcare, decide how to spend the money." Mr. Speaker, why not transfer the money to Quebec so that it can be put to good use? Good use meaning treating Quebecers. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked, and I think most Quebecers are shocked too, because our government is investing in essential services. We're investing in language minority communities throughout the country. For instance, we've helped the Georges Dumont Hospital in Moncton. We've helped healthcare centres in the prairies. We are investing, of course, in healthcare in Quebec. Quebecers are shocked by what the member is suggesting. Is the member really suggesting that we should deprive Anglophone Quebecers from receiving healthcare in their first language? Is that what he's suggesting, Mr. Speaker?
For Calgary East. This Liberal Prime Minister's economic record is even worse than Justin Trudeau's. By doubling the deficit, he's making everything more expensive, especially groceries. Today's devastating inflation numbers confirmed. Liberal deficits are crushing Canadians. Rent up 5%, groceries up 4%. The four core inflation numbers all above the bank's target. This so-called budget experts' math is not mathing. Will these Liberals stop their inflationary deficits that are driving up the cost of living?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know the Conservative Party opposite has a hard time, but here's some facts. 21 straight months in the targeted inflation rate from Bank of Canada. Our economy grew jobs in September. We have the lowest debt in the G7, lowest deficit G7, lowest net debt to GDP in the G7. Mr. Speaker, our economy has had challenges, but it is strong, it is growing. Our Prime Minister was elected to build the strongest economy in the G7. That's exactly what he's going to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East.
And yet this Prime Minister has built the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. And did these guys learn anything from Justin Trudeau that the more they spend, the worse it gets for Canadians? 10 years of deficit spending has left Canadians with high inflation, and it's only getting worse. And in typical Liberal fashion, this Prime Minister promised to cap government spending, yet he's going to double the deficit. After 10 years of these Liberal deficits, what don't they understand? The more they spend, the more expensive things get for Canadians.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, again, let's look at facts. Our economy is not shrinking. Our economy grew. It added jobs. Interest rates are down. Inflation is with targeted rates. On November 4th, we're going to table a budget. We're going to spend less. We're going to invest more in capital projects. We're going to invest in nation-building projects, infrastructure, housing. We are going to build the strongest economy in the G7. We're not going to take any lessons from somebody that's never worked in the economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hamilton East.
Over the past weekend at Halloween events in Stoney Creek, the crippling cost of living was the hot topic at my booth. New inflation data confirms all three core inflationary measures are above target. Grocery inflation is up 4%. Rent inflation is up nearly 5% in the last year. Liberal deficits are driving inflation. The more Liberals spend, the more it costs Canadians at the grocery store. Will the Liberals get their inflationary deficits under control to make life more affordable for Canadians?
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know where the party opposite's been, but we know where the leader of the opposition's been. He spent the last week peddling dangerous far-right conspiracy theories about law enforcement in our country. He should apologize. While he's been attacking the rule of law, Canada's new government spent the last week announcing a new suite of affordability measures to strengthen the rule of law, crack down on crime, keep Canadians safe, which will be included in our first budget. I urge Conservative MPs to speak up, stand up, call on the leader opposite to apologize. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kitchener South, Hespeler.
Speaker, what Canadians care about is the cost of living, and the more these Liberals deficit spend, the more it costs Canadians at the grocery store. New inflation data today confirms this. All three core inflation targets are above target. Rent is up 5% over the year. Groceries are up 4% over the year. After 10 years of their deficits, the cost of living in this country cannot take anymore. So will the Liberals stay on focus, get their inflationary deficits under control to make life more affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for Small Business, Tourism and Gender Equality.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians trust that our government has their backs. Why? Because we are making life more affordable, and we have cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. This is allowing Canadians to put more money back into their pockets. And speaking of food, Mr. Speaker, good news. Our government is making the school food program permanent. This is going to put $800 back into Canadians' pockets to actually feed healthy meals at school. And also, 5.5 million low-income Canadians will automatically receive federal benefits through CRA tax filings. This is real, tangible benefits for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Côte du Sud, Rivière-du-Loup, Katiskamik, Témiscouata. Mr. Speaker, last week in my riding, I spoke to families who are struggling to make ends meet. In a country like ours, it shouldn't be like that, yet Quebec is seeing inflation rise to 3.3% because of this inflationary Liberal government. As a result, the price of gas, rent has gone up by 10%, groceries has skyrocketed. Families can't do it anymore. Will the Liberals finally get their inflationary deficits under control and make life more affordable for Canadians and Quebecers? The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation. The answer is yes. The member voted against every support measure that we've put forward over the last year, so he is not credible in his question. If we want to talk about credibility, Mr. Speaker, we know that there are still reasonable Conservatives. Vicious attacks from the Leader of the official opposition against the RCMP is unacceptable, against the rule of law is unacceptable. We see it on the radio, we see it on social media, on TV, but no one across the aisle has attacked the Leader of the opposition to say that it's unacceptable. Will one of them finally do so?
For Markham, Smithville.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to be part of a new government that has championed trade diversification since day one. We've broken down internal trade barriers within Canada, and we've signed new trade agreements with Ecuador and Indonesia. We're moving at a pace and intensity that Canadians expect of us. Can the Minister of International Trade update this House on our government's latest action to expand and grow our trade relationship with the United Kingdom and what it means for Canadians?
Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Good news, Mr. Speaker. Today we table legislation to expand the CPTPP trading bloc to welcome our partners from the United Kingdom, a major step forward for Canadian trade. Why the UK, Mr. Speaker? The UK is Canada's third largest trading partner. Last year alone, they represented $28 billion of Canadian exports. That's billions of dollars of Canadian products produced by Canadian workers in communities across Canada, Mr. Speaker. This is yet another step forward in our trade diversification efforts. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, after the Prime Minister failed to negotiate a win with Trump, Canada's auto industry has been hit yet again. Devastating news from this morning where over 1,200 highly skilled auto workers at the Carney Ingersoll plant are being laid off by GM indefinitely. This adds to the 2,200 job losses in Oshawa and the 3,000 announced in Brampton. The Liberals have sold out our auto workers. So will the Prime Minister finally admit that he's lost control of the wheel and is driving our auto sector off the cliff?
Yeah! Way to go!
The Honourable Minister for Industry.
My colleague comes from the region, and I look forward to working with him to finding solutions. Obviously, we will fight for these jobs. Not only will we do that, but this morning we were already on the phone with the company to be in solution mode. We were with the GM CEO, with the Unifor Labour, and also with Doug Ford and Vic Fideli. Our goal is to bring back a new model to Ingersoll, and we're on it. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Speaker, I've been talking to the auto workers who are losing their jobs now because of their failed policies. An auto worker in Ingersoll called me this morning and says he doesn't know how he will pay for his mortgage. He doesn't know how he will feed his family. There is a real sense of anxiety in our community. The Liberals blew billions in EVs, and now Canadian workers are the ones that are paying the price and their families. So, will the Liberals finally hit the brakes and stop selling out Canadian workers?
L'Honorable Ministre de l'Industrie.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague is right in saying that there's real anxiety right there, and I agree, because I've been in contact with workers and I feel it as well. So our goal is to make sure that we are able to bring back jobs to Ingersoll, to work with the company, to work with the government of Ontario, to work with the labour unions. But meanwhile, we'll make sure that we continue to engage with the United States, because at the end of the day, we know that this is because of the unjustified tariff by the President against the auto sector. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, this news out of GM today is another devastating blow for auto workers. It comes less than a week after Stellantis announced 3,000 layoffs as they move production from Canada into the U.S. The Prime Minister looked Canadians in the eye and promised that in exchange for their votes, he would prevent auto sector jobs from happening. Well, they're happening. If the government included a Canadian-wide job protection plan in their $15 billion deal to Stellantis, they can simply invoke that clause. The minister who signed the contract should be able to answer this question. Did they include a jobs protection clause in the contract to Stellantis?
L'Honorable Ministre de l'Industrie.
Mr. Speaker, I know that the Conservatives have been wanting to see the contracts that are linked to the Stellantis plant. And you know what? We've said yes. So the opposition on the committee will have access to the contracts. And they will discover that indeed we negotiated well. And indeed, Stellantis is on the hook, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, it's been a week, and all we've got from this minister is political theatre. She's bragging about who she gets on the phone. She's bragging about the tough talks she's having. Here's the thing. If they actually included a jobs protection clause in the contract, all they have to do is invoke it. I'm starting to get a terrible feeling. I'm starting to worry that they signed a $15 billion deal with Stellantis and didn't include a guarantee to protect those Canadian jobs. Can the minister tell Canadians very clearly, explicitly, did they include a jobs protection plan for all jobs at Stellantis when they forked over $15 billion?
Mr. Speaker, I my colleague is trying to spook Canadians, but I just would like to remind him that the support that was given to the company was linked to the production of batteries, and therefore no money is spent.
Yeah, start from the top, please.
I know my colleague's trying to spook Canadians right now, but I think what is really, really important to remember is that any support from the government was linked to the production of batteries. And in that sense, our support is linked from the moment that the production is happening. The production has not necessarily happened yet. That being said, Mr. Speaker, what we will do is to make sure that we hold Stellantis to account, because obviously jobs are important in the at the Brampton facility, and we'll continue to fight for these jobs.
The honourable member for Calgary McKnight.
Mr. Speaker, during the last election, the Prime Minister promised Canadians that he would get a deal with the United States. But since he was elected, tens of thousands of Canadians have lost their jobs, and $54 billion of investment has fled the country. Last week, Stellantis announced its plans to move their Brampton plant to Illinois after the finance minister signed a deal giving them $10 billion taxpayer dollars. Canadian auto workers want to know what job guarantees were in these contracts.
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague has heard very well that the government will make these contracts available to the opposition. So, again, he can assert a series of sort of fabricated conspiracy theories. Doesn't make them true. What is true, Mr. Speaker, is that our government is supporting a proud tradition of building vehicles and cars in Canada. Over 100 years of Canadian workers building these cars. Mr. Speaker, we're going to defend those workers, support those businesses, and fight to ensure we get a deal with the United States that's good for Canadian businesses and Canadian workers.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akiawenrak. Mr. Speaker, Canadians have known it for a while, but the Auditor General has just confirmed it. The Canada Revenue Agency is a Liberal disaster. It's uncontrollable and out of control. Last June, barely 5% of calls were handled within the expected time frame. But even worse, when you do get through, 4 times out of 5, the information provided was wrong. Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Minister for National Revenue. Are they aware that this affects the most vulnerable among us, people on low revenue, seniors, and those who can't pay for an accountant? The Honourable Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of respect for my colleague, and he knows it full well, but Mr. Speaker, he should be overjoyed because we have already acted. We didn't wait for a report to be published by the Auditor General. We've already acted upstream. I enacted a 100-day plan to improve service because we want to offer good services to Canadians, and I'm sure that he will announce it in his riding. We've also tabled in the next budget a way to obtain benefits automatically. That's a great bonus for those who need more, and it will help affordability in our country. I'm sure he's overjoyed right now. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akiawenrak. Well, I'm glad that the Minister is happy, but I'd like to remind him that 2 years ago he did the same thing. He claimed, I've met all the leaders of grocery stores and grocery prices will go down. But it's skyrocketed since, and that's the truth of the matter. But back to the CRA, Mr. Speaker. The auditor stated the agency places more importance on adhering to work shift schedules and breaks than on the actual accuracy of information provided to Canadians. What does he have to say about that? The Honourable Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, I don't know who is watching QP today, but I'm not sure that the people in riding will be proud of him attacking those working for the CRA. These public servants do exemplary work. What they need, Mr. Speaker, is that we improve processes, that we improve technology. Everyone wants to offer great service to Canadians. And I know that in his case, he knows that CRA workers are working very hard to serve Canadians, and we'll give them the means to do even better.
Member for Calgary, Midnapore.
3 things are certain in life: death, taxes, and you will wait on hold when you call the CRA, according to today's Auditor General report. CRA's own phone service standards were only met 18% of the time, with wait times doubling over the last year. Only 17% of agents could accurately provide basic tax information. Complaints have increased by 145% in the last 3 years. So can the minister explain why Canadians are paying so much, yet receiving so little? Good question.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, look, Canadians deserve timely, accurate, and consistent information from the CRA. We accept the Auditor General's report. We've embarked upon a 100-day plan. Service is improving. We've got a long ways to go, but we are working with the leadership of the CRA. We will make it right. Canadians will get the service they deserve. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Calgary-Midnapore.
Well, instead of focusing on other people's jobs, that member should start doing his. Almost 10 years to the date, the Liberals signed a $50 million contract for the CRA call system. It is now almost quadrupled to $190 million. And operational costs at the CRA have increased by 70% under these Liberals. While taxpayers wait on hold, Liberal insiders and contractors cash in. So, does the government have a hang-up with value for money? Is this another arrive scam?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the CRA for delivering Canadians great service like the Canada Child Benefit, Disability Tax Credit. Where would Canadians be without the CRA delivering COVID benefits? Mr. Speaker, service levels need to improve. We accept the Auditor General's report. We will get this right. Service levels and access are improving. We have a lot more work to do, but we will deliver for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Compton-Stansted. Mr. Speaker, the RCMP's independence is fundamental to its proper functioning. This is a principle that all responsible leaders should respect and not undermine. Last week, the leader of the Conservative Party decided to criticise the RCMP, saying that they covered up scandals and engaged in political manoeuvring, which is irresponsible, and cast aspersions on an institution that protects Canadians. Can the Minister for Public Safety reiterate the importance of the RCMP's independence and remind why it's important to have trust in our institutions? The Honourable Minister.
President.
Mr. Speaker, thank you to my colleague. The Conservative leader's dangerous rhetoric is irresponsible.
The opposition in relation to the RCMP is completely unacceptable, Mr. Speaker. As you know, the RCMP is an independent organization, one that enhances the rule of law in Canada and one that ensures the safety and security of Canadians. Day in, day out, the RCMP officers on the ground work to save and secure this country, and I demand that the Leader of the Opposition retract the statement and apologize to the members of the RCMP.
The Honourable Member for Vaughan. The Honourable Member for Vaughan-Woodbridge.
Mr. Speaker, while they continuously try and distract from their irresponsible policy, we on this side of the House stand united against Liberal deficits, against Liberal incompetence, and for the Canadian people. For 10 years, the Liberals have promised deficits would lead to investment, while Canada had the worst per capita growth in the G7 and a more than 10% drop in investment per worker. That's no surprise to Canadians, though. The same government, we have the same failed Liberal policies. So will they finally stop their inflationary deficit so Canadians can afford to live?
Government House Leader.
My honourable friend would like the distractions to stop. I suggest that he tell his leader to not go on podcasts anymore, to not pay for shawarma with crypto, and to not call into doubt the independence of our institutions like the CBC, the Bank of Canada, and the proud men and women of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
Every dollar this Liberal Prime Minister spends is taken out of the pockets of hardworking Canadians through inflationary deficits and higher taxes. Let's not
Let's not forget that for 10 years, Liberals claimed runaway deficits would spark investment. The current finance minister, back when he was industry minister, helped double the national debt, promising it would lead to growth. And what did Canadians get? The worst per capita GDP growth in the G7, and investment per worker collapsed by more than 10%. So, will he ensure that his next budget will stop the inflationary deficits so Canadians can afford to live again, or will he instead double down on Trudeau's policies and make Canadians pay for his failures?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, while Halloween is coming up, the only thing scary in here is the misinformation coming from the Conservatives. We're cutting red tape, we're building homes faster, and we've introduced dental care that now more than 2 million seniors have signed up for. We're building an economy that works for everyone, while Conservatives have a record of pushing the retirement age higher. I can't think of anything scarier than that. And while they're voting against support for seniors, we're empowering older Canadians, and we're protecting not only their dignity, but their peace of mind.
The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, for 10 years, this Liberal government has been taking Canadians for a ride. They hold the record for the largest annual deficit. They hold the record for doubling the accumulated deficit of all governments combined over the past 50 years. The direct impact on Canadians' wallets is that everything costs more. They need to stop saying that they are putting more money in Canadians' pockets. Will the Prime Minister keep his promise that the deficit will not exceed $42 billion, which would give Canadians just a little bit of breathing room? The answer is simple, yes or no. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House. Now, Mr. Speaker, the issue with the Conservatives is that they keep talking about inflationary deficits. However, they never identify what an inflationist spending is. Is it helping industry? Is it helping workers? Is it helping with dental care? Is it helping with pharmacare? Could they perhaps give us an iota of identification of what actually is an inflationary spending?
The Honourable Member for Cardigan.
Mr. Speaker, in the 2024 alone, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre reported that Canadians lost millions of dollars to fraud. There's not one person in this House today who does not know a senior, a newcomer, or a vulnerable person who has been affected by financial abuse and scams. Yesterday, our government announced that it's taken action. Can the Minister of Finance provide an update on how our new government plans to help Canadians by combating fraud, financial abuse, and scams? New member, 5 months.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, finally a good question, Mr. Speaker. My colleague and I were proud yesterday to announce a very important measure to combat fraud and financial abuse. Yes, the Conservative may want to listen to that, and improve financial security for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. In our upcoming budget, we will introduce the first ever national anti-fraud strategy, Mr. Speaker. It will also implement a new financial crime agencies to lead Canada's effort in combating financial crime, Mr. Speaker. And we will also introduce a new code of conduct for prevention of economic abuse. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we understand we need to help our seniors. We need to help the most vulnerable.
The Honourable Member for Sudbury East, Manitoulin Nickelbelt.
Mr. Speaker, after years of talk, the Liberals continue to break their promise to get shovels in the ground when it comes to the Ring of Fire. Thousands of jobs and billions of dollars are at stake. Yet the Prime Minister refuses to move this important project along. The Liberals ignored this vital project on their national priority list, a huge slap in the face to Northern Ontario. Will the Liberals stop breaking their promise and get shovels in the ground now so our region can get to work?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, the Ring of Fire represents an immense opportunity to develop Canada's critical minerals in partnership with First Nations. We've established a regional assessment working group to advance the Ring of Fire alongside robust consultations with Indigenous rights holders. We're actively working with the province of Ontario to increase regulatory efficiencies, and we look forward to concluding a one project, one review process with the province of Ontario.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, Trump is pushing for Stellantis to ship 3,000 jobs from Canada to the United States. And today, GM announced it's closing another plant in Ingersoll. That's another 1,000 jobs, making it clear what we've known from the start, that Trump is set on destroying the Canadian economy. And yet, the Prime Minister continues to flatter Trump, calling him a, in quotes, modern man, in quotes, world-class leader. Mr. Speaker, he's stealing our jobs. When will the Prime Minister finally fight back against this economic extortion and protect jobs and workers in Canada?
L'honorable ministre de l'Industrie.
Mr. Speaker, of course it is not lost on this government that these unjustified tariffs are having real impacts at home and real impacts at the Stellantis plant. That being said, I will of course work with my colleague, work with the NDP, work with Unifor to push back against the decision of the company to make sure ultimately that we hold Stellantis to account. We need to put pressure on. Let's work together. Let's make this happen.
That's it.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians across the country are suffering from punishing high costs of daily essentials like food, housing and utilities. Grocery prices are sky high and rent is completely unaffordable. Yet, today's inflation numbers show the problem is getting worse, with food up 4%, rent up 4.8%, and 9.6% in Quebec. Under Liberals, life keeps getting harder for workers and their families. When will this government take the affordability crisis seriously, admit their policies are not working, and take effective action to help?
L'honorable ministre des Finances.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for bringing the affordability issue on this floor, Mr. Speaker. We work together. There's a lot we can be proud of what we have achieved together, Mr. Speaker. When you think about dental care, when you think about farmer care, when you think about the National School Food Program, those are all the type of programs, Mr. Speaker. The Conservative call that slogans. When you're on the government side, you call that program because it delivers benefits to Canadians. We're going to continue to work with our colleagues of this House to make sure that we are there for Canadians in times of need, Mr. Speaker.
Alors, ça met fin à la période des questions pour aujourd'hui.
That's all for question period for today. Let's give colleagues a few minutes to quietly exit the chamber.
Okay, so we're switching over to committee in 18 minutes. Got a little bit of a break, so go do what you got to do. And I've already put the link in chat, but I'll put it in there again. The Minister of Defense is going to come and try and explain how they are going from under 2% of GDP on NATO spending to all the way up to 5% in less than 10 years, even if they're in power for that long. But especially after what we heard today from the Auditor General, that one of her reports shows that certain bases don't even have actual clean drinking water. In some cases, there's not enough housing. A little ridiculous. So the Minister of Defense is probably going to get pretty well grilled in committee today. So there's the link again. 18 minutes, 17 minutes now. We'll be switching over. We'll be going live there. So thanks, everybody, for watching. If you don't want to join us for committee, we'll be live tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for question period. We're not going to cover any committees after. There's nothing really going on tomorrow, but Thursday will be really busy. 11 a.m., we've got Gary, the Public Safety Minister, in committee. We've got question period at 2. We've got another committee after question period. I forget which one, but I'll let you know. But yeah, anyway, a little bit of a break. Thanks, everybody, for watching and tuning in, and I will see you shortly. Cheers, guys.